Hello, hello. I know it's been a while since I've made a report on any Warhammer stuff, but I'm here mostly because I've lost pretty much every single game I've been playing. Like in the past, like out of 25 games, well, I won't review everything. I've only won 6 times, so I've done terrible. But that doesn't matter because I want to be like, I've played Eldar a couple times, Orcs, Necrons, played some armies I haven't played before, like with Eldar. So it's just like, you know what? Just taking it as it goes and everything. But I'm making this video because I participated in my first Warhammer tournament. That's my first Warhammer tournament. It was at Hobbytown USA on Saturday, February 16th, or no, February 17th. And it was a 1,000 point list, which I normally play with 2,000 points. So it's just kind of like, okay, but I'll give it a shot. I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I didn't take a lot of pictures, but I did my. I just went in and was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and have a fun time. It is how it is. We started at 11 in the morning, and each round kind of like had an hour and a half uh, time time limit. 3 rounds. And how did I do? Well, let's start and let me tell you. I actually did take pictures of the first round. I versed Tau, and I never versed Tau for the first time. And now this how the tournament worked. It was RTT style. So no secondaries. It was just whatever was on the field. Whatever they pull a card, and that's the mission rule and stuff for everybody. It's kind of like a Dawn of War detachment setup. So I versed Tau for the first time, which is crazy and everything. But it was, as I can get to the thing. All right, it was supply drop, which is chilling rain, but yeah, supply drop. Basically, there was an alpha and omega objective. Like in the fourth round, the alpha objective goes away in no man's land, and the omega objective is the only one left in the fifth round. Now the problem is that all the other things go away, so the only ones that really matter for points are all the ones in no man's land, not anything on your deployment zones. So it's pointless to keep them. Now, my list that I kept for the entire tournament, I had the 5-pack jump pack intercessors with, Sergeant had a power fist, plasma pistol, only one other person had a plasma pistol, the rest had chain swords. I had 5 Infernus Marines. I did something different. I put my Phobos Librarian with my 5-man Incursor squad with the Haymire Mine. I had lieutenants with my 5-man Sternguard with the heavy bolter. And I had my Dreadnaught and the Thunderstrike. And I think that's it. I think that's all I did. No, and the Devastator squad. Of course, how can I forget my Devastator squad? So it was like, why didn't you take Kevin Shriek? Because 1,000 point list for 100 points, just like, it didn't feel like it'd be necessary or something really for that time. So I decided to do something different. Okay, that's just what I did. I decided to do something a little bit different. So I did the just regular assault intercessors and everything with that. The only enhancements I had with the lieutenant, I did play different deep, which gave him the infiltrator ability. So he was leading the Sternguard, so they had infiltrators. And Librarian, I did a new thing with execute and redeploy, which means they can shoot and move like 6 inches back. And I was like, okay, that might be useful. I find the Incursors are actually very good with their ability, and they're kind of interesting. Not with their ability, but their melee stuff with the stained combat blades. I'm like, oh, okay. I just kind of like how they do stuff better. Infiltrators are just, I've learning like, you know what, just put them on a home objective and just leave them there. But they wouldn't work in this situation, so I didn't even bring them for the list. So I used Infernus because Overwatch, they automatically hit. So just roll the wound roll. Okay, so first round was Tau. And I see why people don't like Tau, because it's just they'll shoot you all day long, guiding missiles and guiding missiles and guiding this guy's that guy's, and I'm like what. Now I forgot to take pictures of the rest of the turn, but I did take pictures of this battle. It's my first battle against Tau. And here's like some pictures, kind of the setup and everything on that end. My army's the ones in green, of course, and there was just this big thing that I had no clue. It had like 20 wounds. It was a Titan, so I was like, ah, crap. But yeah, all these battle shock things and stuff like that. I couldn't really hold on to the middle objectives. I had the Omega objective, but for some reason I lost track of the round, and I thought I actually could have won. Like I did. I seriously thought I won for a moment. But he's like, no, we're only in round 3. And I was like, wait, what? And I relooked. For some reason, I got off on the rounds. I don't know why, but I did. And I was like, oh, crap. Some reason I thought it was like a lot later round than it was. I don't know how I lost track, but for some reason I lost track. I was so excited. I was like, I might have won. I think I just won. And then just like, oh, it was really embarrassing. And I won. I don't win much too. It was like, hey, first time, I won. But I just didn't know what to do. And it was embarrassing. I embarrassed myself, I think. I lost that game. It was 23-8. So, but not really good. So I can expect another loss. I get it. Now the next opponent was Necrons, and this was Taken Hold, still Chilling Reign. That was just the way the thing was. I didn't take any pictures and stuff of that. Again, use same list throughout the idea. He had the Hypercrypt Legion detachment for his Necrons. The Necrons, he had this like big thing there in the middle and a bunch of other stuff, that kind of snipey stuff. I actually did. He had this one thing that I knew that, yeah, I got to stay away from that thing. It just like, it can like explode and just stay there, killing everything around it. Because when I versed that one Necron army, that's what it kept doing. I was like, nope, staying away from that. But it was so close to try to beat it and everything. But at the end of the game, when the time was up and stuff, because the way we kept having the objectives, if I killed that middle thing, if I killed that middle objective, because this big guy, he had this big guy who was like 16 wounds, if I managed to kill it, that was the thing, if I had managed to kill it, he would not have been able to hold that objective, and he would have lost, and I could have won. Like, my Redemptor charged it, I tank shocked him, he was still alive, then he killed the Redemptor. He had like 2 wounds left. If I had killed it, I would have won the game. But instead, we tied. A 30-30 draw. And that was the mission. It was, Dawn of War, Chilling Reign. Yep, Taken Hold. So it was very disappointing of like, I really feel like, oh man, I could have won that game. I absolutely could have won that game if I had managed to kill that thing. It sucked. But hey, I didn't lose. So that brings us to the final game. It was against Dark Angels. And the guy was happy. He's like, oh yeah, you're playing Space Marines? That's great. I versed 2 Tyranid armies. And I was like, I versed 2 different things. So first time versing Dark Angels, which I hear are the closest thing to get to Chaos without actually being Chaos. He also did the Vanguard strat. Because what I used, because the Ravenguard type thing, I used the Vanguard strat -1 to hit outside 12. Same with him. I was like, oh, okay. But the mission this time, oh boy, if you can believe it, hidden supplies, which I don't recall what it does, but the main one, the rule was deploy. It adds an extra marker to the field, like an extra place objective marker. There, I'm trying to think. It was deploy servo skulls, and that sucked because I've only played that I think twice, and it was very difficult. But we realized throughout the game that I think we were playing it wrong, because the way to deploy servo skulls is that you get it within 12 inches of the border, then 6 inches within the border, then 1 wholly in their deployment zone. We weren't playing that. At first we were playing like, no, it has to be like 6 inches within the deployment zone, then 12, then 8. But it really didn't make sense, but that's the way we were playing it. But then we realized that halfway through, and we were like, oh, we were playing wrong this whole time. Well, let's at least continue to play it wrong, at least. And so we did. He kept saying he had these, like, Crusader Terminator chaplain things. He said no one's been ever able to kill it before. I was the first one to kill them. I actually managed to kill those things, which is like, yay! So that was what was good, being able to kill those things. I did something seemingly no one ever was able to do before, which is like, cool, I got a moral victory. But as far as victory, the game ended, even though we played it wrong, but game ended 7-7. That's right, another draw. We made a draw again, and it's just like, well, that's what happens. So that's unfortunate, I have to say. Now, so my first tournament, my record is 2 draws and 1 loss. And overall, again, stat-wise, that brings me up to 6 wins, 16 losses, 3 draws. I actually played a game against Ultramarines today, and I lost that too. So that's why. I was close. I felt like I could have won, but I couldn't kill certain... I was killing everything else, but I couldn't kill the vehicles. I kept leaving on one freaking wound, and it was like... oh well. Things happen. So that's where we're at, unfortunately. So I haven't really won yet. Hopefully one day I can get a win. But I did enjoy myself. I mean, 11 o'clock to almost 5 in the afternoon. It was like 4:30-ish in the afternoon, finishing the phase. My feet hurt real bad towards the end. It felt like, just regular working in a long time and military stuff. At least I wasn't wearing boots standing up for that whole time. I was like, oh gosh, thank you I'm not in the Army doing this. So, but it was fun, and I do look forward to doing it again. Thing is, you can't play with proxies, so there's a couple of things I would play with. Like, I would maybe consider Hell Blasters or a few other things, but because you can't use proxies, I can only use what I actually have. So I only can use what I had. So I know I'm trying to do better on list stuff in the future, but honestly, I might go in with the same type setup. Like, legitimately, I might go in with the same type setup because it's not that bad of a list. I mean, the only thing I could probably do is, instead of the Redemptor, I could put in a like a Victor Tactical Warsuit, perhaps. It's not as beefy, but he does have better attack, kind of. And it's a little bit less points, so I might be able to swing another squad? I don't know, it's just... But honestly, a 1,000-point list didn't do too bad. And I'm glad I took the Incursors and not the Infiltrators. I've given up on the trying to infiltrate strat for now, because every time I keep putting Infiltrators on a objective, people just come and kill them anyway. They get so close anyway, even with the Phobos Librarian attached to them. So it just kind of became like, well, that's pointless. I mean, seriously, it's become pointless to try to keep using them, because it's like, I just keep losing the objective. They're not working. So it has to be something different. And I'm just trying to think, well, what could I do? Maybe if I attach them like with a Phobos Captain or something like that, that might... Because there's something... What is it? Let me look. Isn't the Phobos Captain the one... Or is there such thing as a Phobos Captain? Captain in Phobos Army, yes. He has the ability... After both armies deploy into his first turn, if your army includes one more... Yeah. You can place them with strategic reserves, essentially. So I can put them on the field and then redeploy them to another spot with a Phobos Captain, so he might be useful more for an infiltrator type of setup. But I don't know. Infiltrator might be just best to use in the back end, but Intercessors is something I'm going to have to get in the future. My next few purchases, probably my next purchase is going to be a vehicle. That way I have a third actual vehicle. I know I was thinking Repulsor Executioner, but for the amount of points it is, a lot of people are using Gladiators or Predators. Probably a Predator Destructor or the Gladiator Lancer, because I'm starting to play that on kind of some lists I might start using. So I might look into getting one of those. It's a little bit cheaper in model-wise, and that's, 60 points compared to the Repulsor Executioner of that. might be good for another character or put towards a squad, depending. So, like, I don't mind being a little bit over points. Like, you could be like 2020, 2030. I don't mind that as much, but if you're 2050, I was like, okay, 50 points that's a bit much. You need to get rid of that. But 2030 is, for me, like, 2030 is fine. 40, but 50, I don't like playing 2050. It's just like, it has to be like below 40. It has to be like 10, 20, 30. It's like, okay, that's just a little bit of points extra. That's fine. So it says, yeah, the points are like 2040. I'm like, okay. But if it's like 2070, I'm like, that's a whole another squad, man. That's like an 80-point intercessor squad. It's like, I don't know. But like, how much points do you play over and everything? So, I don't know. Just let me know. Anyway, I will see you later. And I don't know whenever another tournament's going to come up, but I don't know what I place in the tournament. Each each loss you get nothing. Win you get 1 point, and half you get. Well, if you get tied, you get half. So I entered the tournament with 1 point. I would say possible guarantee there were people possibly didn't even win one or only tied. So I'm guaranteed not last. I think. Which is a very terrible, stupid thing to say, but that's just what it is. So, sorry, that's all I got to say, but we'll see you in the next one, and hopefully better news at winning. Goodbye.